You're listening to international investment advisor Doug Goldstein on the Goldstein on Gelt show, the financial show where we'll talk about how you can make the most of your money. With all the confusing financial chatter bombarding you each and every day, Goldstein on Gelt will give you the practical information you want and need about living a financially stable life. Here's your host, money maven Doug Goldstein.
Okay, we are back. We are talking to Meir Statman, who is a professor of business at Santa Clara University. His book, What Investors Really Want, has recently been published by McGraw-Hill, and the book is meant to help people know what drives investor behavior. Professor, I would like to welcome you to the show and to ask you, the title of your book is What Investors Want. Well, what do they want?
Well, if you ask investors what they want, they're going to say, well, I want high profits. What more is there to it? Well, it cannot be that high profits is all people are looking for, because if that's what they just wanted, they would be investing in index funds that track the market, and they would get the highest ratio of return to risk. So people want more. People want to be rich. People don't want to be poor. People want to play the market. People want to be members of the community, of their neighbors and friends who play the market. People want high status, and some investments provide them with high status. Think about being invited by Goldman to be one of the people who get to buy Facebook shares. Some people want to be socially responsible, and we all want to use the money to help our children and families. So there are many, many wants that we all have, and they're reflected in our investment behavior.
Mm-hmm. I see. So you're talking about the goals that people have. As a financial planner, the radio is a once-a-week gig that I have, but really my day job is I'm a financial planner, and I speak to people about goals and goal setting. And with the terms you're using seem to focus more on that rather than on just the money side of it.
Well, precisely, because people, and sometimes even financial planners, separate money from life. But of course, you cannot do that, as you know from your work. You have to begin with people's goals or people's wants, and then you have to explain what can be achieved, what they can have, and what they cannot, and then help them find a way to get what they can reasonably get.
Mm-hmm. I got you. So it turns out, though, that people tend to be their own worst enemy when it comes to investing. How come?
Well, for one thing, people don't always know what they want. They just sort of flail around. So, for example, people want high returns, and they don't really know what it means, what it is that they can reasonably get. They hear about some success stories of somebody who bought some particular stock and it went up and he is rich now. But what they don't realize is that, yes, those things happen, but people who buy just one stock can find themselves with the worst possible stock. And so people use their intuition to figure out what it is that they can have and how to go about it, and many times it's wrong. For example, they are misled by hindsight. In hindsight, it's very clear that a particular stock would double and triple and quadruple, and so they think that they can tell the future as well as they can tell the past, and we cannot.
I got you. So they tend to be overconfident for no particular reason, which is they look at what past performance was and they say, well, I have such a good sense of what happened, and then they believe it'll happen again. In fact, this overconfidence, we spoke on this radio show with Professor Danny Kahneman, who did a lot of behavioral finance work, also an Israeli. And he spoke a lot about how people will make decisions really not based on having facts, but just because they feel they need to make a confident decision. Do you find that as well?
Overconfidence is a wonderful example. Overconfidence really helps us in many parts of life. When you go for an interview, and the interviewer asks, why should I take you when I have 400 applicants? The answer cannot be, well, I don't really know. I must be about average because I don't really know who the others are. You have to say something like, because I'm the best, because I have done this work and I'm going to increase your profits more than anyone else. That really works for you in many parts of life. But when you are in investing, that really is like being overconfident when you drive your car into a wall. The wall is not going to budge just because you are confident about it, and the stock is not going to go your way just because you told it so. And so this tendency, which is so helpful and natural in other parts of life, is just backfiring and misleading you and defeating you when it comes to investing.
We are talking with Professor Meir Statman, who wrote the book What Investors Really Want, which was recently published by McGraw-Hill. He was talking to us now about how people are overconfident, and by overconfident, we really mean that they believe that they are better at making decisions than they really are. And you started out, Meir, by talking about that investors need to set goals. It's not just about making a lot of money, but they have to have specific goals. My question to you is, without professional help, do you find that people really are able to set a goal and stick to it?
Well, some do better than others. All of us, I hope, manage to, for example, have the goal of graduating from high school and graduating from a university. And for that, you have to set aside television and friends and so on to study for the exam. Some of us even manage diets, although that is getting to be very hard. But I think that financial advisors are really very, very important to help people stick to their goals, creating rules such that people do not act in haste, do not act in panic, and do things that damage them. And so a financial advisor might say something like, look, the market is scary now, and what you would like is to get out altogether and sell all your stocks. How about if we have a general rule that anytime you feel like that, we'll talk about it 2 weeks later and see if you still feel that way. And so in this way, a planner, an advisor can help investors really conquer their fear, conquer their intuition, and do what is right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I found, I have a client actually now who keeps sending me emails that he gets on the web when he gets spammed about, buy some hot new stock, a penny stock. And so I explained to him that, when you get these emails, it's normally not really good research. It's just someone who has perhaps set up what they call a pump and dump scheme, which is he buys a lot of a penny stock, then he sends out a mass email, tries to get other people to buy it. Once it goes up, then he sells it, which is immoral, if not illegal. But my client gets very excited. He says, "But Doug, look at this great stock. I obviously must be onto something." I find that I spend a lot of time trying to just get people to see the reality, whereas really that is a very hard part of the job that I deal with.
Exactly. Yeah. The hardest part of the job is, I'm sure, managing your investors, not their investments, and that really is important. And teaching them that those spam emails are indeed spam is a very important part of your work and mine as a teacher. I always say to people when they speak to me about something like that, I say, look, if you are buying this stock because it is sure to go up, who is the idiot who is selling it to you? Because in every trade there is an idiot, and if you don't know who it is, it's probably you. Why would anybody send you an email to just let you in on a fabulous deal? Who do you think is selling those stocks that you're going to be buying? And some people sort of get it and then stay away from spam. And others really need people like you who are going to remind them again and again, like training a dog who still does his thing even after you said, don't do that again.
Mm-hmm. Meir Statman, a professor of finance at the Santa Clara University, who wrote the book What Investors Really Want. We're just about out of time, but let me just close up with one final question, which is a lot of the behavioral finance issues that you study seem to apply across the board to other fields. In fact, on the show we had the honor to interview world chess champion Susan Polgar, who is a grandmaster, and in talking to her about why chess players make bad decisions, even at the highest levels, turned out that many of the same, let's say, psychological barriers that you study apply in chess. Have you found this also in other fields as well?
Sure. Just think about physicians. Imagine a large-scale study that found that, say, bran muffins don't help prevent cancer. But still, a physician would say, well, I have 4 patients and they ate bran muffins and they don't have cancer. So here. So physicians rely on small samples, very much like investors who say, I bought those 4 stocks and it went up, so I'm a genius. And so we all have to really think like scientists. And it's amazing that, say, physicians and investors who know the rules of science in other parts of their lives, when it comes to investing or sometimes when it comes to medicine, seem to forget it and fall into the same kind of cognitive errors that bedevil the rest of us.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Meir Statman, how can people learn more about your work? Is there a website, or should they just be buying your book?
First, buy my book, obviously. But if you put my name, Meir Statman, Statman, in Google, you're going to get to my websites, and you'll see many papers that you can download for free. And my email address, I'd be happy to answer any questions that arrive by email.
Okay, and that is?
That is mstatman at scu.edu.
Okay, that's mstatman at scu, like Santa Clara University, .edu. Professor Statman, thank you very much. Thank you for writing the book, and thank you for spending time with us today.
Oh, thank you. It's a delight to speak with you.
Bye now.
You've been listening to the Goldstein on Gelt show with money maven Doug Goldstein. Doug's weekly radio show is heard around the world, but if you miss it, you can download the podcast at www.goldsteinongelt.com. The Goldstein on Gelt show gives you up-to-date financial ideas so you can get on the path to financial freedom. If you'd like your questions answered on the air or off, send Doug an email to doug@profile-financial.com. It's your money for your future, so join Doug every week to build your wealth on the Goldstein on Gelt show.